German Chancellor Angela Merkel paid a visit to the Czech Republic this week and met with Czech Prime Minister Petr Nečas in Prague. The visit followed a recent announcement by the Czech Republic that it would not sign a European treaty that is intended to help enforce fiscal austerity among members of the European Union. Czech Republic's buy-in to the treaty doesn't really matter much for the functioning of the treaty, since Czech Republic is not even in the Eurozone and the ratification of the treaty is impacted by their participation. But it does matter for political reasons, as Germany tries to prevent a tidal wave of Central and Eastern European resistance to its austerity enforcement efforts. In early March, the European Union unveiled the Fiscal Compact Treaty to establish more fiscal discipline in the bloc. The treaty is considered the German-led response to the European financial crisis, as it calls on countries to place legal limits on their budgetary overruns. Prague's unexpected refusal to sign the Fiscal Compact makes the Czech Republic and the UK the most vocal opponents to the treaty to date. Strictly speaking, the treaty is intended primarily for members of the Eurozone, so the participation of the Czechs is not all that necessary for this treaty to pass. That said, Germany does need Prague's support for political reasons. Central and Eastern Europe is a region in the EU that is the least interested in signing the treaty. Since most Central European countries do not use the euro and have not received bailouts, they obviously have fewer incentives than their counterparts in Western Europe to support a document that imposes more budgetary oversight on them. After all, many of these Central European countries have already been working toward meeting the fiscal objectives of the treaty as part of their ongoing efforts to join the Eurozone. Fiscal discipline is therefore not a new concept to the Central Europeans. At the same time, the EU has recently made some controversial moves in the region, such as freezing funds to Hungary, temporarily delaying the release of development funds in Romania, and not allowing Poland to participate in Eurozone finance minister meetings. In the eyes of the Central and Eastern Europeans, the focus of the EU is strictly the preservation of its Eurozone core, while the periphery is much lower on the EU Commission's list of priorities. Germany needs to build a united front in support of the treaty and prevent the contagion of anti-treaty sentiment to other EU members. For those members that choose to sign the treaty, 25 countries have already done so, the national parliaments of at least 12 Eurozone countries then need to ratify it. Merkel wants to prevent a situation in which other countries follow Czech Republic's example in resisting the treaty. This is why Germany has been isolating the UK, which is the only country that has been against the treaty from the beginning. Fortunately for the Germans, the Czech opposition to the treaty stems more from domestic politics than from deeper strategic concerns. The Czech government seems able to manage the more Eurosceptic members of its government, especially since the Czechs would have to make fewer reforms than their Western counterparts to meet the requirements of the treaty. Germany knows that pressing the Czechs too much will likely increase their opposition to the fiscal compact by making it appear that Berlin is imposing its demands on Prague. This is why Merkel's response to the Czech Republic was literally no pressure. Merkel said, "The most important thing is that the Czech government stands by the objectives of the pact." She also said the Czech Republic is likely to act as a, quote, great example. In other words, Germany is telling Prague, so long as you continue maintaining fiscal discipline and don't actively obstruct the process, then Germany is not going to interfere in Czech domestic affairs, especially as the Czechs are already preparing for legislative elections this fall.